Hey guys, Alex here with this cob house, and I'm actually sitting here in the cob house this evening, and I wanted to make a little video here talking about some of the main lessons that I've learned since starting my own homestead. So I bought a raw piece of property, I believe it's 2021, so I've had it about 3 years, and there was nothing here at all. So just to give you some context and perspective, so doing a homestead for yourself, there's no way around it. It's a lot of work. There's different strategies you can take. So you can either get a raw piece of land like I did, and that's kind of like doing it on hard mode. That's really the biggest challenge. Or if you have a lot of money, sometimes you can just buy a property that's kind of already set up, like a turnkey sort of situation where you just buy the place, everything's already there, you just move in and start everything. But that's pretty rare, and you got to have a lot of money to do that. The other way is to find a piece of property that basically just has a house on it, has, for example, septic, electrical, water hookups, utilities like that. Like with me, I didn't have any utilities when I started here. Currently I have city water hooked up all the way up the hill. I have electricity, and that took a lot of time and a lot of money, and there's still a lot to work on with that. So it kind of depends on your budget and your timetable. But let's see here. The first thing I have actually on my list for lessons, and I kind of knew this going into it, wasn't a surprise for me, but doing a homestead, building a homestead, especially from scratch, it's like having a full-time job, just doing the homestead work. There's more work up front in building a homestead, and over time that starts to decline, in most cases anyway. I spend most of my time, and you know, if we're talking about this like a full-time job, I spend most of my time working on the buildings and structures here, and utilities, infrastructure, that kind of stuff. And I've still got, you know, if everything goes at the same pace, I would still have a couple of, probably 2 years, at least 2 years more of building structures and infrastructure work, and then I could kind of just switch gears and focus on, you know, any other homestead work or activities I want to do. So I'm kind of very divided right now with my energies and finances. Everything has gone into the buildings to this point, and I am working on the side, working on gardening. I'm building a chicken coop right now, so I'm going to have a couple chickens, get started, and probably build a big chicken coop later. So I'm kind of getting started with smaller steps. And oh yeah, I'm learning to hunt, so I'm doing that on the side as well. So there's a lot of stuff going on, kind of on the side, apart from the actual building of structures. And then of course I've got these 3 little kitters. They keep me quite occupied. So they're my company here. Kind of my my animal husbandry at the moment. So yeah, there's a lot of work. That's kind of the main point first. And that's a good tie-in here with the animals. So as soon as you get animals, doing a homestead or anything having to do with animals, it ties you to that location. So even with just the few animals that I have currently, I'm very tied to the land here now. I mean, this is home, so this is where I want to be, but I'm really tied tied to home now, so it's really hard to get out. And I think I made one trip since Christmas time, which I'm okay with, but you know, just if I wanted to, the logistics, you know, it's just harder to do now, and it's going to get harder with having more animals. So that's something to take into account. Alright, point number 3, and this is something that a lot of people probably don't want to hear, but homesteading, you're not going to save money becoming a homesteader, at least not from the start. There's going to be a lot of financial input up front. You're going to be putting in a lot of investment up front, and then again over time that level of financial investment can decline and go down. So you might start saving money in ways over time as you get everything set up and developed. You can save a lot of money on food for sure, but that takes time to set everything up, to get the animals, get everything that they need. So like currently I don't save any money at all, you know, as far as food goes, really. Not yet. Once I get the chicken thing going, I will. I do save money overall with my situation here. The way I have it set up, it actually works really well financially compared to like renting a house or an apartment. I save a lot of money, especially with the insane rent prices these days. But overall, I'm always spending money developing the place, so there's nothing's being saved in my situation because I'm always putting it into the property and developing it. So the point, the end point to that is you're going to need a solid income stream if you want to be a homesteader still. You can't just quit your job and decide to be a homesteader and make a living doing that. That can come in time. I know people do it. I know there's ways to farm and strategize and monetize such a thing, but that takes time to develop and get into, especially if you're starting from scratch. So the next point is things are going to be tough, especially when you first get started. The first couple years, things are going to be tough depending on your situation. If you're doing it like me, starting with a raw piece of land, things are going to be rather difficult when you first start. It's going to be a lot like living as an old pioneer in the pioneer days. Not that, I mean, it could be that extreme for you depending on how you want to do it. If you want to be all off grid, yeah, it's going to be very similar. The first thing I did here was I ran city water up to my building site. So I had running water, one of the first things. So it wasn't too crazy of a living situation, and I had solar panels to charge generators. So I had basically utilities. Some people go full off grid, and that's really challenging. But what I wanted to say is you do need to have kind of a level of intestinal fortitude, toughness. You need to have mental and emotional toughness. This is not a cakewalk, you know, it's not a walk in the park trying to do this, whether you're doing it from scratch or turnkey type situation, just buying a place and moving in. There's still a lot of work, no matter what. So you have to kind of weigh personally the pros and cons to everything. Like, is this a lifestyle that you want to live? Are there certain benefits to it that outweigh the costs of time and energy you have to put into it? But with all this, what I've learned so far is life gets better incrementally. because you continue to make improvements. It's just, as long as you stay on that work grind, you're constantly making little improvements to your home and your place, and life just continues to get a little bit better, a little bit better. Next point here is to network and try to work with your neighbors and local community, because it is really hard to do this on your own. There's just so much that goes into building something like this. Not only that, but maintaining the land that you have. I've only got 6 acres. It's perfect size for me, but even with 6 acres, it's a lot of land to take care of. Just mowing fields. I hand mow, I don't know, maybe I should say push mow, probably 2 acres every couple weeks right now. And so that's another time investment during the spring and summer. But luckily I have a neighbor right down the road who bush hogs the rest of the fields, and in exchange for the hay. So he cuts it and bales it for the hay. So I don't have to do all that work by myself. So the point is, network and work with your local community if you can. And the last point, just to wrap this up real quick, is just don't quit. Keep going, keep pushing towards your goal and your dream, and don't quit. Because a lot of people get into this with big dreams and it's just too much for them, and they just pull out and quit. Just keep pushing through it, and you'll make it happen. You got to have determination to do this. It's not easy. To me though, I wouldn't have it any other way. I've lived in so many places, and nice apartments and houses and different countries and locations, but this is the way forward for me. This is kind of the dream, really, for me. So I'm good with the hard work and the time commitment and the money investment commitment. So you need to make that choice for yourself if that's something you want to do or not. But if self-sufficiency and just being free, having your own space, especially if you like living in the country, then this is a great way to live. So I do want to encourage you to start something like this. I'm still in the beginning stages of my homestead. Most people wouldn't even consider it a homestead yet, because I don't really have anything production wise going as far as food or resources, but it's part of the journey getting there. So I do want to encourage people to take steps if that's something that they want to do. So I know this video was just all over the place, but I hope you got some value out of it. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. If you want to come see my place, my homestead, I'm having 2 more classes here in September and October. We're going to be learning how to build these structures focused on cob, straw, and rammed earth. So links for those classes are also below. Thanks for watching, guys.